Life is gonna be great.
Good day, everyone. Miss Red here. We are very fortunate today to have a chance to listen to a very dear friend of mine and a mentor. He is a member of the Young Fashion Designers Guild of the Philippines and a lecturer on sociology and culture of advertising at Northern Illinois University. Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Argentina, Mr. Alain Fonte.
So the topic is Philippine pageantry and fashion, right? When did the pageantry start? And how did this become part of our culture? Okay. So to start with, let's go back to the prehistoric Philippines. In the prehistoric Philippines, we have, the communities are being grouped into categories. Okay, we have the Maharlikas, which are the ruling family. The ruling families. So this would be, I think you know your history. So you have Lapu-Lapu and his family as the Maharlikas of Mactan. And then you have Humabon as the Maharlikas of the southern part of Cebu. Then you have Candaya as the Maharlikas of the northern part of Cebu. Sultan Kudarat as the Maharlikas of in central Mindanao. So there are a group of Maharlikas, okay, and then we also have a group of Timawas, okay. Timawas are the servant groups. These are the people who are serving the Maharlikas. Then you have the Baganis, which are the warriors, and then you have this very special group called the Babaylan. Okay, the Babaylan are the priestesses, which are mostly young women who are still virgin because prehistoric Filipinos believed that the gods, they only communicate to the purest of the pure. And they believe that the gods communicate to them through the virgins. And they have to be beautiful virgins. So this is actually the start of pageantry, because even prehistoric Philippines, I would say prehistoric Philippines, because these are not written and documented in historical data. Okay, these are actually write-ups of anthropologists and sociologists based on what they find from what they dug from the grounds, so from the archaeological and anthropological artifacts. So based on these artifacts, they write stories of the culture and the lifestyle of the people back then. But there is no actual documented paper that tells the story. So they just assume that there is this group of Babaylans, which is also a common practice in other cultures, like in Greece. They have they also sacrifice the virgins, and the most beautiful amongst virgins. They sacrifice them to offer them to their gods for harvest, for good weather, for safe voyages, whatever they do. It's the same thing in Rome, no? In pagan Rome. They also have the oracle, which should be the most beautiful among the virgins, because they believe that the gods will only communicate through the oracle, and the oracle must be a beautiful virgin. The same thing with the prehistoric Philippines. They believe that the Babaylans are the only people, are the only women that the gods communicate with. So these are virgin women who must be very, very beautiful. So even back then, there was already a selection of the most beautiful women to represent the society. Okay, and this is more of a religious aspect. This is not and it's cultural, but it's also religious, for that matter. And because of that, we continued. Okay, it's been carried on until the Spaniards came. Okay, so when the Spaniards came, and I know you have heard in history about the atrocities the Spaniards towards the Filipinos, there is also a cultural part where um, beautiful women were sacrificed so that in to offer, okay, to offer to Spanish influential leaders, okay, so that these Spanish influential leaders will actually spare the community from abuses, so that they will actually spare the community um, from tragedies. Okay, so a lot of these Filipinos who have beautiful daughters, they would even ask their daughter to marry a Spaniard so that their family will be protected. Because you have a Spaniard protector, you have a rich Spanish protector for your family because you intermarried into a Spaniard. So again, it's also a form of like pageantry, wherein Spaniards would go to parties and the young, beautiful Filipino women are dressed beautifully. They have to look beautiful so that they will be chosen and they will be selected by rich Spanish influential people to marry. Okay, that is where the pageantry actually started. It's not yet on the big stage. It's not yet on the glamour of lights. It's not yet under the glamour of fashion show. But it's more on being selected to be the next bride of the most influential Spanish leader. Okay, it started as being selected to be a babaylan, to be a priestess to communicate to the gods, and eventually sacrificing yourself for good harvest or for safety of the community. And then when the Spaniards came, it is being carried over and it is being changed. And it apart from being changed, it's now being innovated into entering marriage. Entering marriage not because of love, but entering marriage because of protection and wealth and security of the bloodlines. So that's why Filipinos before, during the Spanish era, they believed that it's a curse to have a daughter. And it is a curse, especially if your daughter is not that pretty, because you will be having difficulty in finding someone to marry that daughter. Okay? Unless if you have, so back then, that's why women are not allowed to go to work. Okay? Women are not allowed to go to work. Women are hidden in their homes so that they will have a pale white complexion, pale white skin, because that means they belong to a rich family, that they do not need to work under the heat of the sun and get sunburned and get the tan skin because they belong to a rich family. If you have that white complexion, it is easier for you to be selected by rich, influential Spaniards. Okay? And of course, women back then were asked to wash their faces 20 times a day. You know, you need to have a clear skin, you need to have a beautiful skin. Clothes, this is when fashion enters into the picture. Because, I mean, back in prehistoric Babaylan, clothes and fashion it did not matter. But now, in Spanish colonial period, clothes matter. Because even if how beautiful you are, even if how stunning you stand, if you do not dress well, okay, if you do not dress well and if you are not fashionably up, up there, if you're not fashionably forward, if you're not fashionably styled, then it would be difficult for the Spanish gentlemen to see you as beautiful. Okay, so this is where fashion comes in, where all these accessories and all these beautiful Filipinianas made from pineapple fibers, where all these prints and stripes are, and silk now comes into the picture. Okay. Now, when did we enter pageantry where lights and sounds and the stage are involved? Okay. This all started with, of course, the very grandest among the pageants, which is the Miss Universe. Okay. But Miss Universe have not entered the Philippines yet. Okay. Miss Universe started as a pageant because Miss Universe Foundation at that time was owned by the Trumps, and they were looking for someone to be a model, to advertise their products, to market their products. Okay, and in exchange for you working for the Trump group of companies, marketing their products, marketing their real estate, advertising their real estate, being an ambassador to speak in behalf of the real estate, um, you will get a scholarship. So that was Miss America was for. Okay, and then from Miss America, they decided to create an international franchise of not just looking for the most beautiful American, but they wanted to look for the most beautiful woman on the planet. Okay, now in the Philippines, our pageantry started with a carnival queen. Okay, we call it the Carnival Queen. And the purpose of the Carnival Queen is not actually to win a scholarship. It is neither to win and and after winning you have a job, which is compared to Miss America that after they win they get a job promoting for companies and products of the Trump group of companies. Um, the this pageantry is more of like a selection. So it's more like a title. So you don't actually get money from it being a carnival queen. You don't get actually a crown being a carnival queen. You don't get a scholarship for being a carnival queen. You don't get a house and lot, nothing. All you just get is the title and the prestige that you are crowned as carnival queen. Now, carnival queens are selected because of our culture that we replay and act on the finding of the cross, which is the Santa Cruzan. Okay, so the history of the Santa Cruzan goes back to the time of Saint Helena of Greece, where she was looking for the cross of Jesus, and so she traveled from Greece all over Europe down to Jerusalem looking for the cross of Jesus. And together with her are the Knights Templar. Okay, so now we reenact and replay that scene of Queen Helena looking for the cross of Jesus. So while we reenact that, we also give life to the titles of the Blessed Virgin Mary. Okay, and that is why if you notice that the titles of the Santa Cruzan are actually the titles, the queenly titles of the Blessed Virgin, which is the Queen of the Rosary, the Queen of Angels, the Queen of Prophets, the Queen of Patriarchs, Rosa Mystica. These are the titles in the Santa Cruzan, the titles that are given to the Sagalas during the Santa Cruzan. And these titles are the titles of the Blessed Virgin. If you are included in the Santa Cruzan, that means you are part of the Carnival Queen. And the winner of the Carnival Queen will now portray the role of Queen Helena or Reina Elena during the Santa Cruzan. So that means you are the most beautiful amongst the most beautiful. So, and again, there's no prize money, no prize gifts, only the prestige. And what makes it very prestigious is because if you are poor back then, you cannot be part of the Santa Cruzan and you cannot join the Carnival Queen for the reasons that if you become part of the Santa Cruzan, if you will be selected as one of the Carnival Queens to represent the title of the Mama Mary and become a Sagala, you will have to spend from your own pocket, on your own, using your own money, to dress up, to buy your dress, and you have to dress nicely. You have to, spend for your dress. Of course, your makeup, your shoes. You have to look grand. If you will notice, who has been here to Bantayan Island? I think most of you have been here to Bantayan Island, and I believe most of you have attended the Holy Week in Bantayan Island. So if you notice the Holy Week in Bantayan Island, they have the procession the Good Friday procession, which is called the Pasos. Now, during the Pasos, you have all these human life size structures and tableau of the death of Christ. Now, every tableau or every life size image of Christ and the saints, they are being sponsored by a family, di ba, sa Bantayan Island. And now these families, they spend a lot of money to decorate the carro, to decorate the carro. So, and because of course it's a prestige that, oh, okay, ang inyong family na ang sponsor with sa beautiful carro ni Saint Bernadette or Saint Elizabeth or sa crucifixion of Jesus. So it's the same thing with the Sagala and the Santa Cruzan. So the families will have to spend a lot to present their daughters during the Santa Cruzan so that, it's a prestige na, okay, sila di ay anak na siya ni Mang Juan. Okay, so the daughter of Mr. Juan is very pretty and she is the Rosa Mystica this year. But it's more prestigious if your daughter becomes the Reina Elena, diba? Because of course she will be the last person in the parade, and of course, if you will be Reina Elena, you will be termed as the most beautiful lady in your community or in your barangay. So people will say, okay, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Ramirez is now the Reina Elena. She must be very, very beautiful. Apart from that, Mr. and Mrs. Ramirez probably are the richest in this community because their daughter is Reina Elena. Okay, so that is our pageantry before. Okay, unlike with a pageantry that is already happening in the West, like Miss America. It was just Miss America. Okay, it started with Miss America. But the purpose of Miss America was not actually just to look for the most beautiful woman, but to look for the most beautiful woman who can advertise their products. So in exchange for you advertising their products, in exchange for you becoming a model for their products, you get the scholarship. So when Donald Trump in the not Donald Trump yet, I think it's before, it's his father, when they made an international franchise of the Miss Universe. Okay, when they made an international franchise of the Miss Universe, it now opened the world. It is now open to the world. The idea of a beauty contest, di na siya pageant, no? Di na siya pageantry. It's more of like a contest. And they realized that, it's going to be more interesting too, because it will not just be open to the elite women in the community, it will not be restricted to the daughters of the rich who can afford to buy beautiful dresses during the Santa Cruzan, but it will now be open to any women in the society who is beautiful enough and who is confident enough to join the pageant or the contest. Okay, and of course they will realize that, and it's good because you can actually start a career. It's no longer a prize of prestige. It is now a prize of prestige and a chance to get a job. And that job is to become an advertiser or a model of a product, whoever the sponsor of the contest is. Okay, so the international franchising of Miss Universe is the reason why beauty pageants started. Okay, and because of the lack of opportunities in the Philippines, especially to women, di ba? Kulang na kaayo ang opportunities for men to find a job. So the more it is challenging for women to find opportunities to start a career, okay, to get paid highly. So a lot of women are now interested to join beauty contests. Not just from the prestige of winning, but by the chance of getting a scholarship. The chance of getting a scholarship to go to school and the chance of getting a prize money. And the money is the most important thing because at that time, the Philippines was struggling, okay? Then here came a lot of beauty queens Okay, so 19 that was 1950s. So later in the 1950s, a lot of the beauty queens got married into the rich businessmen who may be owners of big companies that sponsored the beauty pageant. Okay, for example, the president of the Binibining Pilipinas Foundation, Stella Marquez Araneta. Um, Madam Stella Marquez Araneta is not a Filipino; she is a Colombian, and she joined Miss Universe representing Colombia in 1973. Okay, at that time, the Miss Universe was held in the Philippines, and the winner was a Filipina. Okay, so that was Margie Moran who won. So Stella Marquez Araneta did not even make it to the top 10. Okay, she did not make it to the top 10. But she captured the heart of her husband, who is an Araneta. And the Aranetas are one of the richest families in the Philippines. So that is when she got married. She became a Filipino citizen. She now settles here. And now she started the Binibining Filipinas Foundation. Okay. That hosts the franchise. Used to be Miss Universe, Miss World, Miss International, Miss Intercontinental, but now Binibining Filipinas Foundation now only holds the franchise of Miss World, Miss International, Miss Intercontinental, Miss Supranational, because the franchise of Miss Universe was bought by uh, the group of Shamsi Sup Sup in 2019, I believe, 2019. Okay, so but that was her step. I mean, it was unexpected. Okay, and then you have another beauty queen who got married to a former president. Okay, so and we are talking about Imelda Marcos. She was Miss Manila, and one of the judges of the pageant was former Congressman Ferdinand Marcos, and that's where they met. And now she became his first lady, and so those were the steps. So a lot of the women are now intrigued that in the pageantry, you, it's no longer just restricted to the elite. It's now open to everyone who wants to join. So it gives me as a woman an opportunity to win, which I will get a scholarship and a prize money, or it will give me an opportunity to be noticed, to work as an artista, as an actress, or as a model. If someone will notice me, or maybe it opens doors for rich men to marry me if I get noticed. So that's what happened, and it's not really turning very good. That's why a lot of pageants are being criticized, because it became so from the 1970s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. Beauty pageants have been criticized greatly because it became a door, it became a stage, it became a platform for some women to sell themselves, sell themselves out. So, and it also became an opportunity for predators, like these sex predators to trap women who are in dire need of help and opportunities and money. So it was pretty ugly in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Okay, it wasn't any beauty pageant was not prestigious, and if you are a beauty queen, people do not see you as someone prestigious. Okay, so in those eras, 70s, 80s, and 90s, maybe even in the 60s, in those eras, beauty queens are not that prestigious anymore. Okay, they beauty pageants are being branded to be what do you call that? A higher form of prostitution. Okay, that's or peddling or sex peddling. That's what happened. But recently, these beauty pageant organizers, especially when Miss Universe got out from the Trump company and it's now being owned by the Miss Universe Foundation. solely by the Miss Universe Foundation. There are no more companies. Then you have Binibining Pilipinas, which is run by a woman. So it is now, they have now, um, what they have changed the perception of the people by changing the standards of these beauty pageants. Okay. So if you will notice, there is already very strict, very strict, um, and high standards of selection amongst these women. Okay, so if you will notice in Binibining Pilipinas, once you submit an application, they will go a thorough background check on you. If like if you don't have any scandals, or if there are no pictures posted on you wearing bikinis or swimsuits in a tabloid newspaper or a tabloidal magazine, they will always check on that. And even the Miss Universe Foundation, they will also do a very strict background check, because again, they want to change the perception of the people that beauty pageants will be a platform for prostitution, and or it will be an opportunity for sex predators to trap women who are in need. Okay, and now what raised the standards higher is when in 1988 the Cebu started Miss Cebu Tourism. Miss Cebu Tourism actually is the standard bearer of raising the bars of pageantry. Okay, and we should be proud if we are from Cebu because we started it. And the reason why it was Miss Cebu Tourism who raised the standards was because the purpose of looking for Miss Cebu was not actually looking for someone who is really beautiful and grant them scholarships and send them to represent to Miss Universe. Okay, the purpose of looking for Miss Cebu back then was in order to help Cebu stand on its feet. Okay, that was the craziest times in the Philippines. 1986 and 87 and 88, and you understand why. It was a political. There was a. Okay, I know it's elections time, but let's just say it frankly. Okay, the Marcoses were in trouble in 1986, and then there was a People Power Revolution, and the Marcoses were exiled to Hawaii, and there was a change of administration and government. And while it was good for many, because democracy was restored, it was also very challenging for the business owners and for the investors. Because during the Marcos time, a lot of investors came to the Philippines to invest. Okay, Marcoses brought investors to the Philippines. But during the change of power, these investors also pulled out. And the reason why they pulled out, I don't know, maybe they pulled out because they were Marcos cronies, or they pulled out because they do not like Corazon Aquino, or they pulled out because for other reasons, but they pulled out. And that plunged the Cebu economy really down. Okay, it went down. And so that's why the Cebu Hotels, Resorts and Restaurants Association decided that we cannot just stand here and do nothing while our hotels are getting empty and our resorts are getting empty and our tourism is getting affected. And if Cebu thrives on tourism, our biggest source of income was tourism. If we will just stand here, it will create the loss of jobs, it will create unemployment, it will create an economic deficit for Cebu. So they said, how are we going to do it? So they said, why don't we come up with choosing the most beautiful women in Cebu to travel and talk to the tourism offices in our neighbors, like our neighbors, and promote Cebu, not the Philippines, because when you say the Philippines, people would be scared. People would be scared because people know what's happening in the Philippines at that time, that there was great chaos, there was a change of administration, there was a change of power, plus the NPA People are afraid. People are afraid to travel to the Philippines. So what Cebu did, Cebu detached itself from the Philippines by creating Cebu as a destination island of the South. You know, they tried to create an identity for Cebu, and that was Miss Cebu Tourism. So they had in 1986 they had the first Miss Cebu Tourism, and in the first Miss Cebu Tourism, so there was the winner, Janice Minor, and together with her, she has four runner-ups. So Miss Cebu, first runner-up, second runner, third, fourth runner-up. Now, their prize was not a scholarship. Their prize was a job. They have jobs to travel to Hong Kong and present to the tourism department of Hong Kong or Ministry of Hong Kong what Cebu can offer. Okay. And so that is when Cathay Pacific decided to have direct flights to Cebu. No more flights to Manila, because before then Cathay Pacific flies to Manila, and then from Manila you will take Philippine Airlines to Cebu, or you will take a boat to Cebu. So they decided to create direct flights to Cebu. So because they were able to show to the Hong Kong people that yes, Hong Kong, you have this, you have that, but you do not have the beaches, you do not have the resorts, you do not have the nature like waterfalls and all, and these are all affordable in, and you know, hello, okay, I'm back, and these are all affordable in Cebu. In the same thing in the 1987 and 88, the winners of Miss Cebu traveled to Japan and presented the same thing to Japan. And that is when the Japanese ministry was sending, if you notice, we had a lot, I don't know if you were born in the 1980s or 1990s, but we had a lot of Japanese tourists from the 80s all the way to the 90s. And that was because of the push of Miss Cebu. And Miss Cebu is the first, and up to now, the only pageant that does not even have a swimsuit competition. Because again, they were not looking for the most beautiful women or the sexiest women. They were looking for the most beautiful women who can speak and who can advertise and who can talk about Cebu. Okay? So, and that is now, and because of what Miss Cebu has been doing and the success of Cebu tourism and Cebu's economy from the late 1980s to the 1990s, Cebu's economy was booming. That's why we have a program in 1993 called Cebu. Cebu, because it's booming Cebu. And a lot of these provinces, a lot of the other regions have realized what Cebu has done. They wanted to know what was that secret? Why is the Cebu economy booming? Why was the Cebu economy thriving? Why was its tourism being, flocked by tourists from Hong Kong, Singapore, Japan? And in even 1995, we became a sister. We had a sisterhood arrangement with Sydney, Australia. So we also had Australians coming. And then they found out that it was Miss Cebu. And then they saw that is now the trend. So every city now has a pageant, okay? And if you notice, the pageant now is no longer just winning a prize, just winning a car, or just winning a house and lot. It is now becoming an ambassador of your city or of your province, or an ambassador of your country, that you talk about its products, you talk about its tourism, you talk about its people, you talk about its culture. Okay, so now because of that, the image of pageants have changed. The image of pageantry have changed, and a lot of the people now look up to beauty queens, not branding them as someone who is prostituting or selling themselves to the rich man, but they are now being branded as ambassadors of goodwill, because that is what they are doing now. And that is what the beauty pageant organizers are doing now. They are now targeting promotions of cities, promotions of tourism, promotion of products. Some even pageant organizers are targeting a promotion of a charitable organization like Pia Wurtzbach. It's now, and Catriona Gray, they are now very much active with the HIV network. Love Yourself, and to help the HIV victims. Again, and up to now, Miss Cebu is still furthering. It's now continuing. Not It's still continuing, and they further um, spread and reach out to more countries to visit Cebu and to help the Cebu economy. Then you have Fiestas Pilipinas, which is very much focused on economic growth to every province in the country. So yes, beauty queens now have jobs. It's no longer just a title. It's no longer just the prestige of being selected as the most beautiful. It's no longer just being known as a rich, belonging to a rich family. It's and most of all, it has improved from being dubbed as a platform of prostitution. It is now becoming a platform of empowered women who fight for human rights, who fight for women's rights, who fights for for their communities, to promote their communities, to promote their industry, promote their tourism, and that. So, and because of this, people are now, and a lot of young women are now trying to become beauty queens again. And a lot of people are now admiring beauty queens. And a lot of people are now respecting beauty queens. And that is why the culture of pageantry in the Philippines has increased. And the fanatics in pageantry have increased. It is because of the idea that these women are not just beautiful, but they are hope to promoting our tourism. They are hope to the charities that they help. You know, like Pia Wurzbach and Catriona Gray became a hope for the HIV victims. Miriam Kiambao became a hope for single mothers. So whatever charities that they championed, they became a hope. Our beauty queens became a hope. They represent us. They represent our country. They represent our communities, and that's why a lot of people look up to them. And this is now the culture of the Philippines. Why we support our beauty queens a lot. So I don't know in the future if pageantry will innovate itself again, and it will change its perception of the people. But right now, the changes that are present is actually good. And the changes in beauty pageants are good because it has improved a lot. Not just the perception in beauty pageants, but also the purpose of beauty pageants. And I hope that it will improve for the better. So, well, that's it.
See you here in
See
Cebu.
you.
Thank you,
See
Sir
you.
Fonte. Thank you.
Okay. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye,
Bye
sir. Thank
bye.